Great start.
Let's go see if there's anything new on the boards today. Let's see. The lounge? What's in the lounge? Let's take a look.
You are listening to the third official Lounge Report, where we discuss the CCSLC forum happenings. Here are your hosts, the Basically a Sports Show crew, Zach, Andy, Greg, and Mike.
And
Hey.
here we are. Off to an auspicious start already.
No, that's a normal.
That's a bass tradition right there.
Yeah,
We were about to tread upon ground that we swore we would never trot upon again, and here we are. So basically, a Lounge Report number 3. God help us.
Not only the third Lounge Report, but another live show after we did our little test run last week. So
Yeah.
And potentially for the foreseeable future, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah. No, it went well last week, which makes us all very excited for this week, which is probably why this week's going to be a disaster. But we'll
Well, I was going to say, what is it about the Lounge Report that I have to sustain an injury for it to happen? Because last time I cut my elbow, Andy talked about it in the thread on the boards. This time, right before we went on, I ran upstairs to grab a Coke and fell down and damn near broke my arm. So I guess that's good. I don't know, but I have sustained another injury again.
Well, I mean, it's been 7 years since the last show. I imagine that the hexes have all the warranties have expired on all the evil. But
that broken mirror that we had.
no, yeah, that. Oh well,
But
if you're out there, jump in the comments already. Go ahead.
We have on our YouTube channel, the YouTube link from the boards. We have a chat which you can interact with us, and we got some voicemails to go through. I've got a list of questions I wanted to ask kind of the group, and hopefully we'll get some questions or just kind of contributions from people from the forum in the chat. But I mean, honestly, the whole idea of this show is to kind of be as it's a little different. I mean, honestly, we probably spend a solid 15-20 minutes before each show talking about the board in general. So so I wanted to, let's go ahead and start. I'll ask kind of you guys a question if you don't mind, if that's all right.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
So to kind of kick things off, I'll just ask you guys generally in the chat. Feel free to throw in your answers. In the past few years, since the last Lounge Report, since 2013, how would you say that your participation in the boards has changed? And if so, why has it changed the way it has?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm trying to remember if I was a mod when we did the last one or not.
No, you
I
weren't.
was not. Okay, so I'm a mod since then, so that's changed.
As am I.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, and I'm sure Zach can attest to this, but it's like when you're a mod, you'll have moments where you're responding to a thread and then you go, "Ooh, I'm a mod. I shouldn't say that." Like, I don't know. It's like, you ignorant pig fuck. No. No.
I have a good
yeah.
I have a good example of that. Like,
Oh, sure.
the difference between being a regular poster and a mod. It was, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, back before the world ended. I was in one of the threads. I don't remember which one anymore, and I just went off on someone. And Brian in Boston, who I think is the guy I took his place as a moderator, sent me a PM, and he goes, "Hey, Greg, you might want to back off on that a little bit because you're a mod now and all that." I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? He's right." So I went in and I edited everything and took it all out. But yeah. You do have to kind of watch yourself a little more than, say, a regular poster does, because we can. I don't know why we're held to a higher standard, but we are. And
on a non-mod, well, I guess it is sort of mod related. Yeah, it is mod related, but not tied to like what people expect from mods. But it's as a mod, people tend to PM me a lot. And I'm sure they do this with you too, Greg, where it's like, be it anything from like problems with another poster to technical issues to just like questions, can I do this? And then, so there's that, which kind of is an interesting experience because you don't really think about it as, oh, I'm a mod. You just kind of think like, oh, I'm bored. I'll pop on to the boards and see what's going on. And then it's like, oh, people are asking for like help. It's like, that's weird.
Well, so in the respect of you and Greg being mods, it's kind of the board has sort of lost a little bit of its like romance necessarily and gone into more of like I mean more like you have a practical, duty to assist people, or in some cases to just like do moderator stuff where you're squelching fights and stuff like that. But the reason I asked that question in particular was I wanted Zach's opinion, because I feel like a week or two ago maybe Zach mentioned that you said something effective like you just don't make it to the board as much, and I think this
I don't.
I just kind of wanted your input to see how things change for you in the boards. What's the relationship there?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like for a kind of a specific reason, and it's nothing to do with the board itself really. They're at work at a certain point. Like because of the nature of my job as a sports writer. During the day, there's not a whole lot going on for me, or and when it was normal times, where like if I'm going to do anything related to my actual job, I don't do that until 1, 2 in the afternoon at the earliest, and then of course practices and games throughout the afternoon and evening. So for my job, they required me to come into the office during the day, and so I'd sit on the computer, wouldn't have anything to do, so I would just scroll the boards like I would normally do, on my off hours as it was. And then we hit a point where like our internet started to have a lot of bugs because people were having too many windows open or things like that. Like our server was kind of janky. And I did happen to notice that it happened a lot when I would have the boards open and when I would have multiple tabs open. So it was like, maybe I'll stop opening the boards on the work computer. And then I slowly stopped doing that. And I just kind of would have the rest of my day piled up by work, and I wasn't pulling it up on my phone as much. Whenever there's a big logo unveiling, I certainly pop on. But when it came to interacting with the board, I wouldn't go into the logo threads as much because I wasn't just sitting there all day long. And then when I did log onto it, in the evenings, I would usually stick around with the sports in general, and I would talk about sports, or I could be in the lounge talking Star Wars or something else. And then, the pandemic happened. And so there wasn't a whole lot of hockey to talk about. So I wasn't going into the sports threads, and there wasn't really pop culture going on. So I wasn't in the lounge threads too much. And I just got so much busier with work and a whole bunch of things, and so just life commitments in one way or another, whether it's staying off the boards on the work computer or just everything else going on, I just have slowly drifted away from the boards. Again, when there is big logo news, it's the first place I go. Like I'll see a mothership article, or we'll get a text from one of us, and I'll look at the images, and then the first thing I want to know is, what do people think? Like, what's the thing?
I was gonna say, you were there for the Rams unveiling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. When it came to the Rams, that was probably the thread that, if I did have time in the day, that's where I would go.
Just Zach all day instead of at work. He's just like, I'm doing important business here, and he's just yelling at people about the Rams.
Yes, I was scrubbing the yellow jersey, white pants combo out of my brain. The cursed image that is
the painting. Yeah, that I think Admiral has replaced with just the smiling crocodile.
Yes. Yeah.
Are we talking that old painting from 1950 whatever? And yeah.
Yes.
Does anybody? I guess there is no other color picture of that jersey from that era, I'm assuming.
Well, it's funny because, like, of course, that painting is, being a painting. It is done up in a way. It's meant to be appealing, where you look at it and you're like, that's a really nice looking combo. But we've talked about it on the show where if you go back to the NFL's 75th anniversary where every team did throwbacks, the Rams threw back to that set, and it does not look as nice as the painting makes it out to be. So
Yeah.
No. But when it comes to the boards, like I was also never far away from knowing what the big happenings and the drama was, because the other time I would check the boards is when we log on to start the podcast, and then Mike and Greg would be going on about, oh, did you see this complaint about this kid? And I'd be like, oh, what is this? And they start talking about it, and I learn about it, and then while they were talking about it, I pull it up on the boards, and I'd scroll through as much of it I could as before we started talking. And so I've still been, I have my finger on the pulse of, board drama as it is.
Oh yeah, and there's always drama.
Right. So my interactions with the boards are through Mike and Greg, and then the constant nightmare, the lingering nightmare of the 1930s Los Angeles Rams uniforms.
Yes. It's kind of similar for me. Sorry to cut you off, Greg.
I had nothing to say. Go ahead.
It just with the forum, I feel like I think all of us have been around for at least 10 years, right? I mean, at least.
Yeah. 14 for me. No, actually longer. Sorry. I'm trying to think. I joined in 2003.
So the dates got all screwed up, and I'm pretty sure I joined right around the same time, 2003, 2004.
I celebrated. Well, celebrated might be the wrong word. 15 years back in June.
It's super weird. It's weird that you can measure a portion of your life that has been spent participating in a forum.
It's like I just started high school when I fucking did this. Now I'm teaching kids who have just started high school. It's
as I was going through and listening to the old to the second Lounge Report, the one that was infamous for apparently it wasn't really as infamous as it may have.
We went back and listened to it. It's like,
it's not bad. It's not as bad as I think we might think. I think it just left a taste in our mouth, I think, and it kind of grew from there. But one of the things that was discussed on there, just from a personal standpoint, was and I recall this now that I listened to it, was I would just have anxiety attacks in the sports threads and live tweet games, basically. And
your Blackhawks breakdown and the subsequent smackdown from the Admiral.
Yeah.
Well, stuff was legendary. It was awesome. Yeah.
But just to remember that person, it just doesn't feel like me anymore. So I mean, I feel like now, because I'm not as much of a, I don't want to say much of a contributor, but I pick and choose my places a little bit more now. But I don't. Again, I think sports just has shifted in priority for me to where I still watch it, I still follow it, but I mean, I'm not to the point to where I need to live and die vicariously through the board, especially in the heat of particularly the NHL playoffs. But maybe that's, I don't know if that's just a growing up thing or if that's just and again, I think it soured my relationship with a lot of the board because I was making a spectacle of myself essentially, and
a little bit, yeah. I'm going to be honest with you, yeah, a little bit.
And you were the guy that blew up about the Blackhawks and the Cubs and the Bears, and you were the gift guy. You were
Whatever happened with that? Why don't you do that anymore?
Well, partially because I feel like gifts. I mean, I still love my gifts. I those are more. I say those more for text and stuff, and I enjoy doing those with my friends and wife and stuff. But with the board, it's more like when I post something, I feel like I want to try and post something at least with a little substance. And so when I post a GIF, unless it's the perfect GIF for the perfect time, I don't want to just delve into the internet to find the perfect one. Plus, in the past, Imgur or whatever, that website used to have a lot different of a album layout to where I could actually have
the
categories.
New one is so bad.
It's awful.
Yeah.
So I used so essentially I would have this cache of GIFs that I could go to for any old thing and find the perfect one that I needed in decent quality and paste it in the form. But now it's it's all fucked, and I don't want to go through and reorganize it to their their satisfaction when I could just type out something that's not basically a YouTube video. So Yeah. So.
Yeah, but no, I mean it's the same. I think we just time goes on and you have other things that you need to do, and you change like the Mike can attest the amount of arguments that him and I had over the Mighty Ducks logo for ages.
Yeah.
And then the amount of arguments that I had with, say, Gothamite over the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim for ages.
For the record, you changed my mind eventually on the Mighty Ducks thing. So congratulations.
Yeah. And
that is almost impossible to do. So congratulations, Zach.
And still to this day, no one has changed Gothamite's mind about anything. So 1-1 is a good record, I guess.
Hey, 500 gets you into the Hall of Fame.
Yes, it does. But I look back at that stuff and it's like I was certainly a younger guy with a lot of time on his hands on the internet.
I mean,
a lot of time for internet opinions about things and time to argue with people.
Oh yeah, no. I've had that revelation both in terms of the boards and just like other online places that I either still hang out or used to, where it's like, God, I used to spend like hours like arguing about this stuff. And it's weird because not so much to say that, my mind's necessarily changed on all this stuff, because, in some instances it hasn't, but it's like, I'm a big Transformers fan, and anyone who's paid attention to the show knows that. But like back when the Transformers movies were coming out, like the first few Michael Bay movies, like it's like I'd spend hours on the internet like bitching at people. It's like, you like the redesigns for the movie? Like, how could you? Like, it's like, wow, I really chose some dumb hills to die on, didn't I? But when you are young, like Zach said, when you're younger and you're on the internet, it is just, you have more free time and you feel strongly about a number of things.
It only took me about, 11 of those 15 years to figure out I wasn't going to change anyone's mind on anything. And that's when I pretty much gave up on the arguing part of it. It's like, this is what I think. And if you disagree, well, whatever. If you agree, great. And I'm not going to fight about it. It's what
I always enjoyed when you were doing your weekly uniform rankings, right? Your weekly uniform rankings from your for the NFL, right?
Right.
And like best looking games, and people would like you'd go like, oh, so this was, in my opinion, the best looking game, and people would be like, you're wrong. Yeah. It's like, how can I be wrong? It's my opinion.
and how many times did I say that the way the colors pop or the blah blah blah, all that bullshit meant nothing to me?
Yeah,
I would come right out and say that, like, look, I don't care.
It's like Seahawks Bengals. It's like, sure, the uniforms are ugly, but the colors pop. It's like, who cares? They both look like ass.
Right. Well,
and I just, I told you this
what I think
year,
are the best looking uniforms.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Greg, you still there, buddy? And low, Greg. Yeah. Okay, you dropped out for a minute there.
Go ahead.
No, so basically, I don't know what happened there, but so I was telling you this year that whenever the football season rolls around, I always look forward to those because it's like a comforting thing to see the weekly uniforms. Like, yes, there's the infrared 41 uniform rankings. Like, all right, I it's football season, it's back. So little stuff like that, like it goes a long way, even if you don't think about it. I mean, there's other things that people do, which
is anybody else having trouble hearing him, or is it just me?
No, I'm hearing Andy perfectly fine.
Yeah, same.
What the hell? Oh man. Yeah, great. All right.
Do you need to like restart or something, or what?
If I do, we're going to lose the whole show. So we'll just have to see if it works itself out.
Okay.
Because if I go off, I end the broadcast, we have to come back, and I don't want to do that. I think we'll be okay. I don't know what the hell's happening.
We called it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. We said the first one would go off without a hitch. We said the first one would go off without a hitch, and we did this one. It would be a complete disaster, and so far, so good.
So just to talk about the comments for a moment. Gary says that he brought me back from the dead like the Undertaker, and yeah, he did. He did. I actually had a Blaze of Glory moment. It was around the time that I was just starting uni, and just got into a lot of dumb arguments. I was like, fuck this place. And I left. I left for about, I think maybe a year and a half. And then Gary, just to give you guys an idea of how long ago this was, I think it was like MSN Instant Messenger. Like, it was to give you an idea of how long ago it was.
Jesus.
But Gary was like, hey, you come back. And I did. And I'm still there, to one degree or another. So, yeah.
There are probably people in this chat right now that don't even know what MSN Instant Messenger is. That's how young they are.
Oh God. No, I fuck with my students all the time when I tell them, like, when I was your age, like, social media was MySpace and AOL, like, instant message. Like, that was so yeah, no, it's certainly a thing where you just end up getting a bit too passionate, but I don't think like that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that, like, I've heard it from enough people, in this community and elsewhere, where it's like, yeah, no, when you're young on the internet, you don't really realize just what it's all about, and you pick dumb hills to die on, and that's all right.
What I missed the part about my best and worst list. Was there anything I needed to address in that, or just?
No. All I was saying is that it's just like a comforting thing that happens every football season. It's like,
oh, okay.
I was gonna say, Greg, do you want to pull up one of our first voicemail? We can throw one of those on, see what people have to say.
Let's see what we got here. We will do them in reverse order from when we received them, or actually in the order we received them. So this is from, I believe this is from Dennis. Let me see if we can get this to work here. The high tech way we're doing about this. Here we go.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Dennis, friend of the show. Military unveiling in this dire time. Let's shed the light on the fantastic Majestic 12. I'll hang up and listen.
Oh, whoa. Well, did you guys know that?
Part of that cut off, so
Yeah.
all I heard was Majestic 12. I'll hang up.
All
and
right.
listen.
That seems like the proper message, though. It's the Majestic 12.
He wants to shed light on the fantastic Majestic 12. He'll hang up and listen. So
that's on you guys. That's
should I
gave
tell
my theory.
Mike? Should I tell the real story? Or should I just let people keep fucking wondering?
You know what? It's Lounge Report. Let's tell the real story, and we'll never speak of it again. And if people ask about it, we'll say it's
fucking deny it.
It never happened. And,
right?
Okay.
The Majestic 12, and this has been a long time ago, so I don't even remember like exactly what inspired it. But I think it might have been the old post when we used to do the post of the day.
Yes.
And I just one day, for those of you that don't know, the Majestic 12 is this quote. And speaking of bringing up UFOs, that's a good tie in there. Supposedly, they were this group back in the 50s and 60s that were in charge of like UFOs and all that stuff. The Majestic 12 is what they called the Majestic 12 Project. And I kind of carried that into the boards. It's like, okay, it's a thing now. The Majestic 12 does this. It's this mysterious organization. And it just kind of blossomed from there. And so it's become this whole thing now where like everybody thinks the moderators are in the Majestic 12. People have literally, and I am not kidding when I say this, you guys can back me up, have thought it's legitimately real.
Yeah.
That it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And
I do
love
the younger board members that come on and they're just like, oh yeah, Majestic 12, of course.
Yeah, and they just they just immediately assume it's just like this authoritative thing, and it's just a joke that I started, and I know that it drove some of the people nuts. Like when Makba was a mod, I know it drove him crazy, absolutely hated it, and but it was just became this thing, and like then it was like how many members are in it, and I'm like it's 27. Because 12 just seemed too obvious to me, and it just kind of grew from there.
Well, you'd think that the 27 members of the Majestic 12 would clue people in that it's not a serious thing, but
I will not embarrass this board member because I don't want to, and because I'm a mod and I probably shouldn't. But this one person on the board is a pretty popular member, by the way. Sent me a private message about 3 or 4 years ago where he basically called me out on the Majestic 12 and said, look, I don't know what the fuck you guys think you're doing with this, but you're no more important than anybody else, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, you get that it's a joke, right? And he's just kind of like, oh yeah, I got that. I'm like, no, you really didn't. So don't try to like reel it back in now. You really thought it was real. But for those listening, and
it's the board's version of the Illuminati.
Right, exactly.
It's like,
I mean, it doesn't help that Adam put giant 12s on the side of the post the day belt.
I mean, it's more like the CCSLC version of QAnon than anything.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's just a thing that
Look,
I
look,
made
look,
up.
look.
I didn't even make it up. I stole it. And then like people like Dennis and others would like add to the legend, you know, the 27 members, the rituals that we have. And like the latest one was somebody said, how do you become a mod? And I just made up this complete out of my ass, like, you know, system that we have for making a mod based on the Majestic 12. But anyway, it's not real. It never has been real. If you thought it was real, I can't help you.
Here is the this will give you a good idea of what it is. If we ever somehow, some way made that CCSLC, the HBO series show, right? Right. It's like the Majestic, like say there's a scene where like someone goes into like a public washroom or something, like you'd see Majestic 12 scribbled on the wall somewhere. Like that's all that it is. Like it's just this thing. It's kind of dumb, but it entertains us greatly. So
yeah, I mean, I think we have more fun with it, the quote unquote members of the Majestic 12, than the people that follow it do. I think we have fun with it because it's just, I don't know. It's just become this thing. It's like a tradition now, and it's weird, but yeah, it's not real for any of you that thought that we, I don't even think all the moderators are part of the quote unquote Majestic 12. I think only like half of them are. So, it's like, honestly,
it never ceases to make me laugh, man.
If you put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you who the 27 members are. I know Mike and I are in. I think you two are in.
Adam's in.
Dennis is in. Adam's in.
Yeah, Dennis, Adam.
Garrett, maybe I don't remember anymore.
Teal is a member.
Teal got banned.
Not anymore. He's gone.
We finally banned Teal because we gave him a year suspension, and he came back with a dupe. And that's like in his hands. So
yeah. Sorry about that.
Teal.
It's like which is so telling because it's like Teal. If you want to come back, you just literally have to wait a year, and you can come back.
I think one of my favorite board bits from the in between time, which in the last launch report and this one. Well, we had Teal, who is his own thing in his own right, but then we had the completely turned out unrelated but in on the joke Vintage White.
We never figured out who that was.
No, we all thought it was like Admiral playing a joke, and it wasn't him.
Well, no, because
I'm still putting money that he was. I think.
Well, because Admiral had said like how much like it's like Admiral had said it's like, oh, I used to like Teal back when he was just like this weird thing where it's like his name was Teal, his avatar was just a teal square, and he just said every team should adopt Teal.
Yeah, it was the romantic commitment to the bit that I was going to ask. That brings up my when we were in the last show when I was reviewing my notes. Have we secured knowledge on the existence and frequency of posting of the giant octopus, the Pacific octopus? Is he still around?
Oh no, I don't know where he went.
Has he ventured into the deep and just ne'er to return?
I mean, we mentioned it on the show when we talked about the Kraken unveiling. That would have been the time for him to like reappear, right? But no, which is a shame. Like I still think Admiral, took him up on that and took him to a Detroit Red Wings game. So just toss him on the ice.
I mean, because that was like easily one of the if you think of enduring, I guess gimmick accounts. Teal, I think he kind of gave up on it after a while. And
well, see, that's when Teal stopped being fun because it's like, okay, he used to just be the guy who liked Teal. That's fun, but then he's like, I am a legitimate person with legitimate inside information, and then it's like, and it turned out that he had some inside information, not as much as he thought that he did. Like Greg can attest to this. We the mods tracked every claim that he made, and the dude batted around 500.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, though, was it wasn't so much, and we said this on the boards multiple times, our problem with Teal was never that he had inside information. Lots of people have inside information, and it's never been a problem. The problem was that he, like, trotted it out like he was a kid trying to get popular in like, the school playground. And just like the way that he would be like, oh, I have information. A team is changing, but you won't know which one it is, but I do. And then people would, flock to him and like ask him for hints, and it just became a nuisance.
Well, I think the rise of Teal as logo insider, I think also has to do with the the growth of the logo discussion portion of the boards
Mhm.
just to be filled with a lot of who,
Yeah.
like because when we talk about like things of that, why our relationship with the boards now, 2/3 of the people that are in the sports logos threads, I don't know who they are.
Oh,
I
used to
I
be.
don't recognize their names at all.
It used to be, and I don't want to sound like an old man here, but I have to slowly accept the fact that I'm becoming one. That it used to be, it's like you logged on and you went to the you went to a thread in the sports logo section, and it's like, oh, I know everyone here. Like I know everyone here. I know what everyone here's likes are. I know what they're gonna say, and they're gonna say, and it was like this kind of nice feeling. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that guy, and now it's. Like Zach said, I don't know most of these people.
Well, you know what happens is. Oh, go ahead. I was just
No.
gonna say
I was just going to say that the thing that really kind of drove that home, I think, actually involved you, Zach, where you got into a fight with that one guy about the Clippers Compton uniforms.
Yeah,
And it's like, and I remember, like, in our group text, you even said it. It's like, apparently, I have beef with Chex Notes Lionheart 04. Like,
yeah.
Well,
Well,
but
yeah.
you know what happens though, guys, is that probably not as much now because with the social media and all that, but there was a time where if Chris got a mention in, say, UniWatch or anywhere, and it was happening a lot where he would get like on a national website, and we knew right away what was going to happen.
oh yeah,
We were going to get just inundated with idiots, and probably not as much now because they're more like on Twitter and stuff, and people follow and they don't. But that was, I think, a lot of times it was because the boards would get mentioned somewhere. People were like, oh, there's more of me out there, and then they would come storming in.
Well, and the other thing in that is, of course, like as I said, we ended up spending a lot of time in the sports in general and the lounge, and those are like several layers deep into the boards for some of these people, because there's that large swath of people that join up that will stay right there, or there's a whole continent of people that live in the concepts forum or the fantasy sports forums, whatever the hell they were.
There was the sports fan fiction forum
that's what I meant.
Yeah,
right,
that we had to make to quarantine certain people. That was the funniest stuff. And Dennis is listening, so he knows, because Dennis was on the front lines of this as a mod. The sports fan fiction people kept flooding concepts, and so it was like, well, what do we do? Well, let's just create a sub forum for them, so they'll all be there and they won't clog the concepts forum. And then we did that, and they're like, oh, we've made it, guys. Like, we're so important. They gave us our own support. It's like, no, we're quarantining you. We're like keeping you away from everyone else.
Yeah, we stuck you way over in the back corner of the building where no one can see you.
And then it became so obnoxious we had to like burn it to the ground.
Right. I loved though towards the end, when we were getting towards the end, the countdown, like the last couple of days, and people were putting up like videos of nuclear explosions, and you would get all of that in between these. I don't even know how to refer to them. I mean, they weren't really like part of the community because they didn't want to be, but they would be all sad about it being, going away and all that. It was just hilarious.
My favorite part's like the American Football Association thread is integral to board history. It's like, it's 3 years old, man. It's like, I've been here since 03. Don't fucking tell, like, no, like, stick work will injure you. That's board history. Turning the Arizona Coyotes arena into a parking lot is
the blood of the non-believers. Yeah.
Right. The frozen blood of the non-believers. Get it right, dude.
Yeah, like that stuff's like, it's like nobody gives a shit. Like, just go away.
But by the way,
nobody cares about Colonel Beauregard Lancaster IV is an oil baron that votes for an expansion team. And
I remember taking a shot at someone who was like, "This is important." Blah blah blah. I'm like, no one gives a flying fuck about the history of some made up sports team from the antebellum South or whatever. I mean, it was so much fun though to watch that thing.
Here's the thing.
Collapse into itself.
Here's the thing. And I said, and I think I said this on the boards, where I was like, I'd be like 100%. I'd be in favor of bringing this back, but I think and I think this is what Dennis is referring to. LMU is like, I would only do it if I got to be like Maximilian Beauregard the Third, Esquire, Southern oil baron and owner of like the UFA's expansion, the Tampa Bay Skipjacks. It's like
Right.
it's like if you promise me that I can do that, and I will make every post in that thread in a drawn out cartoon Southern accent. I promise you. I like if someone makes that thread, I will do it.
But yeah, that was a real. Just watching that thing just collapse into itself was really hilarious. I think it's in the gold mine now.
Yeah,
isn't it?
It's the one part of that whole subform that we saved. Everything else got nuked, but we kept that, moved it to the gold mine. But I wanted to bring up, because you mentioned this, Greg, how back in the day it used to be like anytime Chris or the site got mentioned, we'd get an influx of new people. The worst part about that, I think, was when the Jacksonville Jaguars unveiled their stupid uniforms of the Gradients.
Oh, God.
And a poster who's not around anymore, but Island Style.
Oh, my God, what a prick that guy was.
Yeah, that
Sorry.
guy was... Okay, so Island Style was hilarious in and of itself because we had an argument over these Jaguar uniforms, and then he PM'd me out of the blue to tell me I had fatherhood issues. And I'm like, okay, buddy. But he admitted to it's like, oh yeah, like I went to Twitter and like tweeted the thread link on the new Jaguars uniforms to a bunch of Jags fans. And so as we're all going like, what the hell, Jacksonville, what have you done? A bunch of these like Jags fans came, it's like, are my team and I'm going to defend their uniforms and screw you guys. And it's like, but they suck. Man, like, no, I've convinced myself that they're good.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And the funny part about that is too, a lot of those guys have stayed. So for some reason, we have an overrepresented population of Jaguars fans on our message board.
Which is hilarious because like a few of them, once they stuck around, were like, actually, no, these aren't good. But they all showed up really angry. But
SF Giants wants to know what Island Style did. He did what? He did a lot of shit, dude. That guy was.
Yeah, that guy had beef with me for some reason, but like I can't remember everything that he and I, went at it over. But I remember at one point it was the Jags thread back, when they unveiled their uniforms with the gradient helmets. And I, like a sensible person, was like, this is stupid. And he, like an irrational Jaguars fan, was like, no, they're good. And like, I don't think I got personal. It was just, I think these are bad and I think you're wrong. And then he like DM'd me out of the blue to tell me that I had daddy issues or something, and it's like,
yeah, he was.
Okay.
I mean, I even if he's still there, I don't care. I'm a moderator and I get it, but I think that if I don't like someone, I'm probably less likely to drop the hammer on him because I don't want it to seem like I'm doing it because I don't like him. But that guy was an asshole. It's plain and simple. That's the only way I can put it.
I've got some breaking, incredible information here, by the way. So I've been doing some research, and the giant Pacific octopus, his last login was January 19th, 2016.
Oh, no!
Is it any coincidence that on January 26th, 2016, Abe Vigoda dies?
Oh wow! I'm sorry, guys. We can't discuss that any further because that's Majestic 12 stuff. So we'll have to take it off the air from here.
This is where the guys in black suits show up and yank Andy away from the microphone.
I want Andy's hard drive.
Yeah.
Wow, the octopus it's been 4 years.
Yeah,
over 4.5 years. Wow,
his last octopus related post, which is simply glub. Is
what a way to go!
Was in a NHL 2017-18 post.
Well,
so
what's the average lifespan of a cephalopod? How long do they live?
Like anybody on this show is going to know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mike knows a lot of stuff about small countries when we talk about the World Cup.
Yeah, I'm
a history major.
I'm an arts and humanities person. Like math, biology, science. I'm useless. Don't.
Right, you might as well throw like a calculus equation in front of us, Zach. It's pointless. Real quick, because I know he's not going to be on for long. I want to play a call from Wild Wing 64 since he's here and listening. I want to make sure he knows that we got his call in. So if you guys don't mind,
go for it.
Okay, here we go. And
Hey
Hey, back host and CCSLC board members. This is Marble 21 from the board, calling from just across the River Mersey in Liverpool, in England. So I was never the biggest poster on the board, and I've taken an even further step back from them in recent years, but I still read the posts on the board, and I still enjoy the show as much as ever. Thank you for all the years of content from the show and the posts on the board. As a British person with an interest in American sports and uniform design, this might be the only place to get this kind of fix. Grateful for that and always will be.
Greg, you got the wrong British person. That's Marble 21.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have two British fans, Wild Wing 64 and Marble 21. You got them mixed up.
I know I didn't get it mixed up. I heard the British accent. I assumed it was Wild Wing. I didn't even pay any attention. I didn't listen to these fully. I would like just listen to a little bit. So anyway, well, all right.
Yeah, you can see in the chat. Wild Wing's like, I didn't call.
I tried. Sorry about that.
And I knew right away. After
nice phone call though, still, right?
Yeah,
Marble. Yeah, that was a lot. That was like really poignant. I mean, obviously, we're it's just a podcast, and the board is just one of millions of
not a very accurate one at that.
Sure, and I mean, but it's cool. Like stuff like that is it means a lot. I'm glad he took the time to. Say something so nice. Leave us.
How positively provincial of me just to assume that it was Wild Wing because the guy was British.
You
right?
dirty
American. It must be the same guy.
You fucking Yank. God,
ugly American Greg.
So I got some more questions for you guys if you'd like me to pause them while Greg reads the Wikipedia on the United Kingdom. And, so this is a simple question, and I'm curious to see what the answers are from you and those listening. Would you pay a monthly or annual fee to get an ad-free version of the forum? And if so, how much?
Some of the ads have at different points have been very intrusive, and depending on the platform you're using too. Man, I don't think I would. It's not worth that much to me.
Wait. Marble 21 leaves this like almost tear-wrenching message of wistful, like this appreciation and gratefulness for the forum. Meanwhile, Zach's like, I ain't paying $5 for this shit.
I guess it would depend on how it was. Like, if Chris came to the board and was like, "Hey, we're running low on funds. We need to have a donation drive to keep this place afloat," I'd throw him a loony or two. But
no, I'm with you, Zach. I'm a moderator, so maybe I'd be like spared having to pay. But no, I couldn't.
I would. I'll break the mold here. I've got a there are 3 Patreons that I subscribe that I'm on that I pay $5 each to, and I don't care to add any more. One of them I'm kind of on the fence about.
Right.
So if Chris came to the boards and were like, hey, we can go ad free if we hit this like Patreon goal, and like, you know what? I dump one of the 3 $5 Patreons I'm on, I'd switch it to the boards. So there you go.
I mean,
you know what, guys?
Hold on.
I think I figured out what the problem with the feed is. I will ask everybody listening, if you want to wait for like a minute and a half, I can fix this where we're having the bouncing in and out problems. It's bad. I know what the problem is. I'm on a 5G network and supposed to the normal one I'm normally on. I can try to switch right in the middle here and see what happens if you want. So do we want to roll the dice or not?
Yeah, go for it. Who the hell cares? Just do it.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm going to switch connections. Hopefully it will. If we go away, we'll be right back, folks. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Seems to still be on.
Hello.
Yeah, well, so we need some sort of like some chilled music, elevator music or something like that. You're listening to basically a sports show. Your call is important to us. Please wait while we fix our audio bullshit.
I mean, since we're still live.
Yeah, I think we're still going.
Yeah.
Can you guys still hear us in the chat?
Yeah, fuck it, they can hear us.
Greg, hello.